Hello, this is Alchemist, and I will show you how to get the Still Hunt Exotic Sniper straight in your hands. Here are the requirements up on the screen for brevity's sake. We need the final shape completion in order to progress this quest, so by proxy, we will be covering spoiler content. Feel free to turn back till this is done so that you can return to the quest. So, after the campaign completion, we get the Destined Heroes exotic quest. Now, we have Savathun talking crazy like we haven't spanked already, but it's okay because our Guardian's ready to hand out more. Head to the designated quest spot and start the mission. During the starting area, they show you a hive rune, and you can activate it by blocking the correct color projectiles with the correct color runes. If done correctly, enemies lose their invuln status, and then you kill them and then move on to the next room. Then next up is a slightly new mechanic where the green orbs will obscure the runes and we can't fire or deflect them until we get them destroyed. We destroy them by flinging our sword's secondary attack straight at the orbs. Once done, it's back to basics, deflecting the correct color projectiles with the correct color runes. Now it's a Savathun boss fight, where things get a little bit different. This time, you're throwing the projectiles into the correct runes. There are elemental orbs littered around the area where the podiums reside. Throw all the correct orbs into the correct runes, and then take down Savathun's shield. Now, you made it to DPS phase. Beat her up until she taps out and dips. And now, we have the requirements to get the Still Hunt fully realized. We then talk to Micah, which will then point us to Cade, which will then point us to our own ghost, move on to the wildcard exotic quest marker. There we start the mission. To start, we investigate 3 different areas, killing Screebs, Shanks, and anything else that gets in our way, until we get to the 3rd area where we set up camp. Afterwards, we get directed to the area where we have to collect Tainted Ether. We do this by killing any enemies that are nearby the corrupted area. We are then directed to another area where our goal is to collect more Tainted Ether. Our ghost will help us find the energy signature, which will lead us into a boss fight. Banner up, scan the area around you, and now we have to slay a mutated warbeast. You'll be damaging him, and once you damage him hard enough, he will enter an immune phase, where he has a whole shield around him, as well as a bunch of taken enemies. Dispatch those enemies, and the shield goes down. He will repeat this once more, until he is finally slain. Head back to the camp, clear out some Shanks, and then investigate the ether spill straight afterwards. You will then go rest in your camp, and then we'll have blights to kill. Now, in order to remove these blights, you kill the enemies that are around the area. Continue doing this, and eventually all the blights will fall by themselves. Once done, we head back into the camp and rest, and then afterwards, we will be moving again. We'll make our way to a cavern where we'll have to fire at Shanks. Investigate the fallen body first, and then we get started. Long-range weapons like pulse rifles and snipers are definitely recommended for this encounter. They're not required though. Oh, and a word of warning, don't try to exit out the area as it will more likely kill you before you're able to make it back. Once you pick off enough Shanks, the Mega Shank will come out and fight you itself. Once you kill this enemy, you'll head back to the campsite and continue onwards. Head to the campfire, enjoy a word with the 2 hunters, and then track the final energy signature. You'll be able to push through and make it to the cave, which is filled with everyone's favorite surprise enemy, the Screeb. Once you're able to get through the droves and droves of Screebs that are there, we have a boss fight on our hands. Rally up and interact with the point to start the boss fight. You will damage the boss into its shield gate, in which it will retreat, in which hordes of Screebs will come pouring outwards. Some of these Screebs will drop Tainted Ethers, in which you go to the container and drop it in. Once you drop enough Tainted Ether, the boss will come back for another phase of damage. Finish his final bar of health, and we get another cutscene. I'm going to keep this cutscene away from this video because it's really fire, and you guys should experience it for yourself at least. And we have another scene, which is also very fire, that you should experience yourself, and then it's back to the tower. Talk to Cade, and congratulations, you now have the Still Hunt. Now, this guide is simple and concise. I'm going to switch it over to the review side since we got some time left. This weapon states that picking up orbs of power or landing precision hits will charge a super bar. Once full, we hold reload and boom, we activate our super effect. We get to fire 3 golden gun shots at base if not altered with the Nighthawk perk. But with the inclusion of Nighthawk, you get 1 big huge golden gun shot. And the best part about it is, it does not consume its super, meaning that you're able to fire multiple back-to-back golden gun shots at a time. But that's not the only tricks that these weapons have. For example, when you drop your banner, Cade's Retribution's super bar is already filled, acting as if it were its own super. So you don't need to charge up the weapon beforehand to get your boss damage outwards. Another crazy part about this exotic is that when you charge up your golden gun shot, you're able to switch between weapons and maintain that shot as long as it's not been fired. This gives the player less pressure to commit to the gun in order to make optimal damage rotations. If you want to activate something like Cascade Point Off Rip, feel free to do that and then switch back to the weapon to fire those shots. Just do be careful, as it does have a super timer of its own as well. So do be aware of that if you want to sneak in a proper rotation. I believe that a typical boss rotation would work like this. Activate Cade's Retribution on Still Hunt first, as when your allies drop their super, they will drop Orbs of Power, which will help contribute to Cade's Retribution. But then after, you'll pop your Golden Gun super, and that will be your next damage set. You then fire constant precision hits with Still Hunt and use a Cascade Point Edge Transit. Dump the load, then activate your Hunter Dodge to get that reload in. Then it's back to your Still Hunt, and if there's not enough precision hits, just continue hitting those precision shots, then activate Cade's Retribution. Wash, rinse, and repeat until boss is baked. What's also really good about the Still Hunt is that none of these supers consume special ammo, so you can continue doing back-to-back Cade Retribution shots even without ammo in there as long as you have orbs nearby. Now for some small criticisms, not a shake against the weapon, but just some small criticisms. Now I do enjoy the Celestial Nighthawk interaction, as you know, everybody else gets the basic Golden Gun super as well. However, I can only see this being used with the Nighthawk. The damage on it is absolutely freaking insane, to the point where using it on any other class might earn you some weird looks in your fire team. But other than that, it's pretty good and very ammo efficient. It only takes 6 shots to get this weapon perk going, as well as 8 orbs. Things you will have no problems with, especially in a raid boss encounter. But for me personally, I'm excited for this weapon and for the potential it might bring, and what the community potentially comes up with. That said, however, I would like to thank my current subscribers, and if you haven't, please subscribe. I would have made this video much earlier, but however, I was kicked out server queue for around 4 hours, and error codes and game kickouts for around another 4 hours. Generally, when it comes to content like this, the fastest and most insightful generally win, and I could already tell that I was late to the punch. With that said, appreciate the love and support, and thank you guys for listening. Alchemist out.